Happy Facebook Live Wednesday. It's number 83. I did not post the graphic last night, so I just did it quickly this morning, as well as Instagram. If any one of you is interested in learning how to detox emotionally, a lot of us do a cleanse for your body, but have you ever thought of why we need to detox our emotions, right? If you are living with limiting beliefs, if you have a lot of fears, anxiety, not trusting your children's journey or your own, and a lot of times as parents, I'm realizing I project my fears onto my daughters. And I believe that I can prevent them from making mistakes or guiding them to better decisions. But as parents, do we really know what's best for our children? Sometimes their journey has to be rocky in order for them to build resilience. Sometimes they need to experience failure, heartbreak, the loss of a job, maybe getting fired, and all of these negative experiences we feel should be prevented, right? Well, in order to live life fully, we need to know that emotions are going to pop up. If we try to avoid the negative emotions, guess what? We'll constantly be living in fear or avoiding what makes us feel uncomfortable. So I did a research, I did some research on how to detox your emotions and why you need to. And this is an article on theeverygirl.com. I know there's different ones, but I like this article because it specifically shares what is emotional detoxing. It's really like clearing emotions that no longer serve you. Are there childhood memories that haunt you? Are there things that your parents said that you might still believe in, right? If they said, you know what, you will never be able to be responsible when it comes to money. Or are you ever going to be responsible for anything? Because you're constantly forgetting things. Your grades are not up to par. And we're told these criticisms, right? And sometimes taking it for face value, at face value. And we don't realize that when people do criticize us, it projects their insecurities on us. It has nothing to do with our worth. It doesn't define where we are in life. But we allow it to just eat at our self-esteem. So are there traumatic breakups? Are there rejections, losses, overwhelm? And I'm going to go through 5 steps that if you practice these on a regular basis, you will be operating on a higher EQ, right? Your emotional intelligence will be higher and you won't need to suffer. You will, and I want to explain that it doesn't mean that you will never encounter, negative experiences, but your perception of what those experiences are to you, you won't see them as a moment to suffer. You'll see them as a moment to build resilience. So number 1, be aware of your emotions, right? And I wrote accept, acknowledge, and attempt to understand, because if you find yourself really angry, it's my empowerment coach / soul sister. If you experience at the moment, you're feeling angry, or you're feeling maybe insecure, or you're feeling, jealous or upset. Good morning, Deslin. Right? Any negativity, stop. Don't give in to the emotion in a judgment way. Just really feel it. Give yourself permission to soak up that anger. Without judgment, that's the hard part, right? Don't judge it. I should not be feeling this way. I used to think that once I became spiritually evolved, that I wouldn't have any negative emotions. Totally wrong. You will not be able to prevent negative experiences, but you can control your mindset. You can control how you perceive it. And if you can rewire the negative limiting beliefs, you won't suffer any longer, right? You will not suffer, and you will understand why. I'm insecure right now because of what happened in the past. That does not mean that it's a prediction of what's going to come, right? Number 2, which I thought was really important, how many of us make an action plan when it comes to our emotions, right? We're taught to make an action plan when it comes to achieving professional goals. You have to have an action plan in order to, carry out discipline. Well, do you know that there's an action plan to process emotions? And I'm going to let you know, it's not very hard to do. One thing to do is stop in the moment. And I've done this. I've said out loud, why is mom obsessing over this? And my daughters are like, yeah, it's your choice. You can walk away, mom. Do one of the things that you suggest. And I play How Deep Is Your Love? I take my dogs on a 5-minute walk. Right before this live, my husband and I danced. Like I said, just do 30 seconds of How Deep Is Your Love? And it lifted my spirits. Who would not be lifted by, the Bee Gees, How Deep Is Your Love? So then I thought, how deep are your emotions? Are you allowing it to destroy your energy, your emotional energy? Or are you flip switching it and say the death of my mom? I thought I should be crying more. And then Destiny reminds me, there are no shoulds. Right now I'm experiencing peace. And I thought, people, oh my gosh, you must be having a hard time right now. Is there anything that I can do for you? And part of me thought, I should be more sad. Am I not missing my mom the way that I should? And then I thought, there are no shoulds, right? If I cry one moment and I'm laughing one moment, it's okay. So what I'd like you to do is embrace whatever emotions. Some people don't like to cry, right? Some people, yes, people grieve differently. People, Justin was just saying, we grieve differently. We show anger differently and sadness. So don't judge the way that you feel, but don't judge. Like I used to think, why isn't my husband more sad when our oldest daughter went to college? And I'd cry every day for months at a time. And he would say, I am sad. And I would say, you're not showing that you're sad. Why do we need others to mimic or just to even feel and understand our emotions? And I get sucked into that all the time. If one of my daughters claims that I'm wrong, I will stop whatever I'm doing and then take the time to show them why I'm right. So lately, I speak out loud. Why do I have to show you that what you're saying is not true? And they're like, I don't know. Why do you have to do that, Mom? And I said, you're right. I don't have to. I don't have to convince you to think and believe my thoughts. But think about that. That's why we have huge protests and controversies and physical fights, because someone doesn't agree, right? Vaccinations versus not vaccinations, pro-life versus pro-choice, or, whatever it is, right? You should be married forever. Do not get divorced, because that means you're not committed. And then that creates a struggle, right? Like, wait, I'm not happy. This marriage does not serve me. But you know what? I'm not getting verbally abused. I'm not getting emotionally abused. So I guess I'll stay, because what if I'm alone, right? A lot of us fear being alone. A lot of us fear, like, what if I quit this job and I can't find another one? And I'm learning a lot from Sabrina. She said, Mom, I've changed my relationship with money, and I decided I had a really unhealthy relationship with money. And look what I manifested, like her dream job, her dream apartment, and now she's going to manifest a car, right? She's like, Mom, I'm going to do this. And the belief that she has inspires me. And I thought, if a 25-year-old can do this, why can't I? And then I thought, wait a minute, what am I doing right now, right? When you find yourself comparing, when you're feeling anything that no longer serves you, which means you have knots in your stomach, maybe you have heart palpitations, maybe you're just feeling like this is not a good day, stop, reflect, and ask yourself, why is this coming up? Maybe it's a trigger. A trigger is something in the past that reminds you of, your body's like fight or flight. We don't want to feel this way. And your brain doesn't want to feel negativity. Your brain is programmed to choose the worst negative scenario, right? Your brain loves catastrophizing. And you used to wonder, why do I go there? And then when you research the brain, and that's the brain's comfort zone, it's like the old caveman days. It's like, if you're going to feel that way, then it might be the end of the world. When Destin says, did you die? I'm like, well, I didn't die physically, but part of me thinks I died emotionally, because I don't want to feel this frustration. I don't want to feel incompetence. I don't want to even feel like any kind of fear or negativity. I thought my goal was to get rid of the yuckiness inside. And I'm realizing, sit with it, feel it. And I'm telling you, it magically disappears when you don't allow your feelings control you, but you take the reins. Picture your emotions like as a wild horse. You can either let your emotions control you, or you say, wait a minute, I am going to take the reins, that I'm not going to let anything to pop my peace bubble. But if it does, it's okay. Yeah, like waves. Sometimes you'll feel like very calm, and then at other times it's like tsunami hits and you think, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to survive this, right? Temporary. Everything is temporary. Happiness, sadness, frustration. So yeah, deep breathe, journal. If you don't like writing, or that's not something that you want to do, talk to a friend, talk to your animal, go outside. Someone said if you're stuck in an office, just look out through the window, or just change your location. If the stress is at your desk, walk around, go to the bathroom. But the main thing is you're pivoting away from your thoughts. So even if you have to say out loud, stop. Why am I feeling this way? I have a choice whether to give into this. Think about it as it's a detox. You're detoxing. So you're being aware, you're accepting it, you're not running away from it, and just sit with it. Sit with it. Think about it, call a friend, write, blast some music, watch a funny YouTube video, or maybe a YouTube video on healing. I've done that. 3 minutes of emotional healing. And it's amazing how it just grounds you. This one is interesting. It says record negative memories. You can record it on your phone, write it. But what lessons did you learn? And reframe that experience. So, and Sabrina said that she learned from a holistic therapist. It's like, yeah, if something traumatizing happened, what did you learn from it? I think my divorce taught me that I don't have to be with someone in order to feel secure and safe. I don't need to rely on anyone for financial security, even though I'm struggling with that one right now. But I know I'm realizing that it's my relationship to what I believe in, right? Long time ago, girls are taught your Prince Charming will come and take care of you. Financially, emotionally, physically, everything. And then now we're teaching the new generation, who a lot of people think they're spoiled, but have you ever thought of that it's not really entitlement? When you look at someone who's and you think, oh my gosh, how entitled can they be? But you can also switch it and see that they are confident enough to know that they are worth getting what they want, right? And then you see these influencers at 19 making 6 figures, and then you think, how dare they don't realize the value of hard work? Well, that's a judgment that we have. So I noticed that some people, right, they're like, oh my gosh, you're an only child, you must have been entitled. And then I thought, okay, how can I flip switch it? Well, my parents truly taught me unconditional love. They truly taught me not to judge myself no matter what. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but I'm going to go with it. So, rewire your thought patterns. I have my certification on neuro-linguistic programming. I use it with my students and the parents that I coach. And then I think, I got to rewire myself. There's a lot of rewiring. And then I started being critical. You have all this information and you can't use it on yourself. Sometimes I lose my temper. Sometimes I just don't think that I'm a really good parent. And my daughters remind me, it just means that you're human, Mom. Or they criticize, right? You know what? You've always led us. You've taught us that you are the authority figure. You've set that precedence. And I thought, are they being disrespectful because they're saying something that I don't agree with? I invite you, the next time you feel that your children are disrespecting you, stop for a moment and ask yourself, why do you feel disrespected? If they roll their eyes at you, it's because they're expressing their emotions, right? And if we're taught not to feel comfortable in sharing, Because what if it's like disrespecting someone? What if it means that, you are entitled, or you just have this air about you? Well, stop and flip switch. And as a parent, I would ask you, what is your child trying to say? Are they saying that they're not heard? They're not understood? They feel that life is unfair? And that's a conversation starter. I know that you probably feel that life is unfair, that I'm mistreating you. Yeah, Mom, you are. And unfortunately, there are times where, guess what? Life is unfair. And this is one of the lessons that's the hardest thing for me to do, is to teach you that you don't always get your way. And that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. And I say that to my 5-year-olds. You know what? I'm just so thirsty. I'm like, you know what? I know that you can survive for the next hour without drinking water. And I'm here not to just teach you school stuff. I'm here to teach you how to handle life when you don't get your way, because that's a hard one. Because adults have a hard time, right? We have a hard time when we don't get our way, whether it's cooperation from our kids, whether it is, receiving what we feel we deserve on Mother's Day, on Christmas, on our birthdays, and we think, how dare our children not show us true appreciation, because we do so much for them. I don't know if that resonates with anyone watching this, but it's tough, right? To give unconditional love is tough. And I realize that a lot of what I say is conditional love. I might say it. I used to tell them when they're little, if you commit murder, you commit a crime, as long as you're honest to me, that's when I'm teaching you to be honest, right? To be okay with whatever happens. So what if they choose to fail? What if they choose not to do something that to you means being responsible? What conversation starter are you going to choose rather than do the lecture thing? Because as a parent of a 25-year-old and a 19-year-old, I finally get it. Lecturing does not work. Spanking, I know that it's a huge controversy. Studies show that it'll be a fast, right? You will receive what you want at the moment. But what happens is resentment builds. You are breaking the emotional connection. And then that's how you have a lot of children say, when I grow up, man, I'm not going to visit my mom. Or you have adult children. I'm dreading the holidays because I do not want to be around my parents. And I think to myself, wow, as parents, we really need to detox so we don't further traumatize our children, because they will in turn create more toxicity and repeat the unhealthy patterns that are instilled. It's just instilled in our DNA. Think about, how your cells are affected by the stuff you eat. They're also affected by the thoughts you think and the belief system. So 2 more. Right? Get out of yourself, meaning get out of your mind. The past few days, I'm realizing I am really stuck in my mind. Whether I think that I did something wrong, or whether I think someone did something wrong to me, right? Then you feel like, how dare you disrespect me? Or how dare, I plan to go to the beach and then there's rain. Why isn't the world cooperating, right? So if you're in a rut, if you're anxious, you're feeling sorry for yourself, right? Stop making yourself the main focus. Ask a friend how they're doing. When you start listening to a friend and then you realize that you are giving a gift of love just by listening, it lifts your spirits, which is why the random acts of kindness or doing something when you're feeling sad. I couldn't understand why a psychologist told me when I was in my deepest depression, volunteer for 2 organizations, 2 charities. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm having anxiety just leaving my room, right? But I decided to volunteer for Easter Seals and Humane Society. So I would pick up a bunny from from the Humane Society and bring it to Easter Seals. And after about 2-3 months, I started feeling better, and I realized the power of volunteering or giving. So really choose to do something, most of us go, I don't have time for that. It could be picking up a phone, picking up your phone or sending a text. What are you doing? I felt so just emotionally connected and loved. And I've been receiving texts that just say, hey, just checking in. You don't need to call me back. Just want to know how you're doing today. I thought, oh my gosh, you just feel so important. And all of us want our souls to be replenished, because if we're operating on an emotional tank, and I tell some moms and kids, you don't even have an empty emotional tank. Your tank is broken. It's like driving with a broken gas tank. No matter how much you fill it, if it's broken, it needs major detoxing. You might need to replace your tank. And how do you replace your tank? These steps, right? Be aware of your emotions, make an action plan, record negative memories, and flip switch it. This can be very traumatizing. I invite you, I'm doing the 30-minute, not just 30-minute for parents, but 30 minutes to learn how to detox your emotions. Is that even a thing? It's a new thing to really embrace your emotions, but learn how not to continue the trauma. And then this one, I thought, whoa, I do this a lot. Have you ever thought of going on a complaint cleanse? I'm thinking, I do complain a lot. And at first, I thought it was very healing because I'm venting. Well, when you're complaining, you are actually building up all the negativity. Because think about it. When you complain, yes, you are venting. You feel better because you're commiserating. And your friend is like, oh my gosh, I can't stand when my kids do this. Thank you, Deslin. She says, you have improved. I've been looking back at the last year and a half, right? I published Mama's Gotta Let Go in February. That was quite a journey in itself, right? Published 100 parenting tips inspired by the pandemic this past March. And I still didn't feel like I was good enough. I still didn't feel like, do I know what I'm doing? And now I'm realizing you don't need to know what you're doing as a parent. The hardest thing to do, and the thing that will release your stress, is trusting your child's journey. So when you think that they're making a horrifying mistake, it truly isn't your journey. Harder to practice and say. I'm working with a holistic therapist who's saying everything that I'm saying, to you folks. I'm like, why can't I do this for myself? And she said, because you're human and it's harder to practice, right? It's easier to be the teacher than the student. So I'm realizing that we can work through this together. You are not alone. I would like to start an emotional detox group. You have Alcoholics Anonymous. Wouldn't it be a great, safe group to be in where you can detox? Because sometimes we don't even know what emotions or trauma, what specific thing in your childhood is making you parent the way that you don't want to parent, right? Yesterday, I had a nice walk with Sabrina and the dogs this morning, and she said, when you told Chelsea no sugar for 3 months, do you know how controlling that was and how that was very demeaning? I was like, demeaning? Yeah, because when Chelsea said, we took a test and she said, Mom, your sugar level was 10 times higher than mine. I still don't understand how that happened. So I said, it doesn't matter what their scores were. It's choosing a healthier lifestyle. And then I realized I'd become a teacher, lecturing my daughters and my husband. You know what you really need? Or you know what, and I have to stop. I'm going to close by sharing a story that just happened last night. And I realized, wow, I really have to detox how I think it's constructive criticism. And Sabrina said, you really talked down to Dad. And it had to do with editing. He wanted me to look at his something that had to do with golf, and it was a flyer. And I went into edit mode where I am going to tell a student what was wrong, why was this a fragment, you didn't use the punctuation, who wrote this? I didn't realize how I sounded instead of, and there have been times, see, when Sabrina said that, I had to say, well, there have been times though when I read Dad's emails, I'm like, no changes. This is great. And he goes, really? I go, yeah, send it as it is. And I should do that more often. You know, it's like, does a grammar error really matter? Or does lifting your child's self-esteem? I'm not saying to let them know that it's okay to turn in, you know, like, I'm not going to edit it. I used to tell Chelsea, you know what, I could edit it, but then you're going to know that your grade could have been influenced by Mom. Turn it in as it is. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's so horrible. I'm going to get a bad grade. But when that grade comes back and they get the A or the B, they know that they did it on their own. Okay, so I know a lot of you are saying, yeah, but what if it comes back as an F? Then you know that it's a great opportunity to grow and learn and become resilient and know that grades do not define your worth. I am still rewiring this because whenever I'm in a position, I give myself a grade. If I'm in a business meeting, was that an optimum performance, or am I criticizing it and giving myself a C or sometimes a D or God forbid an F? And then I have to rewire and say, wait a minute. If you are committing a mistake, guess what? That doesn't lower your value. And it sounds so simplistic, but I don't know. The next time you feel like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing, you know, think about a healthier perspective. That's what it is. So as I close, I keep saying that. But thank you so much for watching. We are coming up with, the holidays. Next Wednesday, I'll be sharing new traditions that sometimes need to be replaced with the old stressful holiday traditions that make moms, well, sometimes dads, but I think moms, we're just realizing we need to shop way ahead. If you're a single mom, right, you need to do it all. You need to make sure that you shop. You need to make sure that you get the right gifts. You need to make sure that the holidays will create happy memories when we're going crazy and losing our sanity. So, as always, mama's got to let go, right? You need to let go without losing your sanity. So I was just realizing at this moment, these balloons, they're areas that we need to detox. If you're feeling stressed, judgment, anxiety, chaos, or fear, that's a sign that you need an emotional cleansing ASAP. So let me know, whoever's watching this, if you do want to create a emotional detox group. I know I started a mama's stressed mamas group, but I think this is something that is beyond stressed mom, right? If you're a stressed aunt, grandma, you're interacting with kids, you don't even have kids, but you have fear, anxiety, right? Stress, chaos, depression, whatever it is. I think the world can benefit from a detox support group, right? Thank you for watching, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday. And remember to acknowledge, accept, and attempt to understand why you're feeling the way that you are. Sit with it. Don't avoid negative feelings because they will pop up. But it's up to us to break the cycle of unhealthy, toxic emotion.